it wasn't all bad, but like there's definitely a lot more barriers and pushback and like drama that I had to deal with than I've ever even remotely had to deal with in the CFL.
I feel like the population at large maybe isn't aware about female participation in football or the leagues and the teams that exist. Do people in football recognize that there's female participation in football?
No.
Okay. So when you started coaching, like how soon into it did you find people were surprised to see you there?
It was like right away. And like it was almost more like it was less of a surprise that I was there, but it was more of a surprise as like, oh, you played? I didn't know that.
Oh,
like,
okay. Interesting.
And like, oh, you've done X, Y, and Z. So it was like just people like didn't know that like those opportunities existed.
Mm-hmm.
So if like people that are playing the very sport that we're trying to like grow
Mm-hmm.
don't even know that like there's women's teams and women's leagues and
right.
opportunities like that, like that's a hard one to take because it's like if they don't know, then how's the general population gonna know?
Yeah.
So like that was I think more so the biggest surprise. Mm-hmm. Like, and it literally happened like just this year. Like one of our players was like, oh, you played? I didn't even know that. And I was like, in my head I'm just like, well, like how do you think, like why do you think I'm here? Like do you think I'm just like would be here having never like set foot on a field, which like can absolutely happen, but like at the same time it's like no, like I've been in your shoes. I get it. So and I think like the power of like him then knowing that was like it like flips something in their brain a little bit too, because they're like, oh, like that's like a different level of respect when you're like aware that someone has played. But it's like if you have all these like players and other coaches and staff walking around thinking that like women in football, I've never played football, like that's a very different dynamic.
Did you find that like just in our own conversations outside of this, I've learned that you've had the opportunity to kind of coach at like several levels. So youth, you mentioned high school. Were you in the like college or university space as a coach at all?
No. I worked a little bit with junior football.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I forgot about that.
And that probably would have like moved along a little bit more had I not left.
Yeah.
But yeah, like other than that, no university.
As you have climbed the ranks, have you felt progressively more welcome or less, would you say?
Like I feel the most welcome in football at the CFL level. Like I feel I've felt and I currently feel the most respected and like wanted, and like I can help with things and do things and like valued. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like I have felt the most valued at this level than in comparison to every other level. I would actually I would argue like high school, that was like fine. Like that was a good scenario. Like, but it helped because I was there for so long. And I worked with them for an extended period of time. So like we had an understanding, and they had been around it and they'd seen what I accomplished. Yeah. But in other capacities, like working with minor organizations and provincial organizations and national organizations, it wasn't all bad, but like there's definitely a lot more barriers and pushback and like drama that I had to deal with than I've ever even remotely had to deal with at the CFL level.
Do you feel like when you started with Lions, like were players unsure of how to act around you?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. And
I was very, like, I'm very understanding and empathetic. And like, if I put myself in their shoes, like, you know, these guys have literally went their entire football career with just men in the room. So like, as much as this is like a culture change for me, it is also a big change for them. Yeah. So like I can recognize that, and I'm not going to be like, oh, why are you like that? Like, no. Like, yeah, like they were definitely unsure. And even like the coaches a little bit, like at the beginning, like you're feeling out, like even just when you meet people for the first time, like you don't like really know who they are, like you don't know like the things that like bother them. So there is a little bit of that in the beginning, but that's like all worked out now. Like it's absolutely fine. Like now it's just every day is every day.
You need to tell the story about the throwing the ball at you thing you told me yesterday.
Oh, yes. So, like, when we would first do anything where, like, people had to throw the ball to me and I had to catch it, like, you could tell in the beginning everyone was trying to, like, just kind of lob it. Like, they didn't want to throw it too hard and, like, never hold it against them. Because, like, yeah, you don't know.
It's actually kind of cute.
But so then, like, I caught it and everything's fine. And then you could see, like, as they realized I could catch the football, that then they would throw it harder and then they would be further away and throw it.
Yeah.
So it's become my like measuring stick of like, I don't want to say respect, but like I kind of want to say respect because I'm not saying like if you don't just like whip the football at me, you don't respect me.
Yeah.
But like it like makes my heart happy when someone just like whips a ball at me from like really far away, knowing like because in their brains they're throwing that ball knowing that I can catch it.
Totally.
So that's like I'd say like that was one of the big things where I was like, okay, like I feel good about this.
Do you feel like they are more protective of you